Hey, how's it going guys? It's Nate here. And Skyrim is a massive game. But thanks to arguably the strongest modding community in gaming, it continues to get even massiver. Yes sir or ma'am, over the past 7 years, thousands of modders have been continuously providing support and content for the Elder Scrolls V long after Bethesda tapped out. So what a finer way to spend this already fine day, or evening, I don't know what time you're watching this video, than taking a look at some of the greatest creations the community has produced over the past few months. I haven't really figured out a name for this series quite yet, so I'm not sure what the title says, but just sit back and relax as we dive into 5, I don't know, amazing mods you may have missed in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Hey, that actually sounds pretty good. Starting off, we have Guard's Armor Replacer by Nordwar UA. Guard's Armor Replacer, or GAR for short, gives each of Skyrim's 9 holds its own unique set of guard armor that better reflects its own culture and flair. In vanilla Skyrim, every single one of the game's guards is essentially wearing the exact same outfit, minus some minor changes in color from province to province. This comes across as rather strange, as Skyrim's not a very centralized place, and it's not like there's some factory in the mountains mass-producing a single standardized armor set. GAR simply seeks to address this oddity in a lore-friendly manner. In total, 9 new armor sets, 1 for each hold, plus a special kit for Ulfric and his Stormcloaks are introduced, comprised of both totally original and some reused but repurposed assets. The objective is to make each company of hold guards feel better representative of and suited for their respective cities. Markarth's patrols will now don armor made of Dwarven scraps, reflecting the settlement's Dwemer origins. Solitude, being Skyrim's richest city, has guards that now look the part, boasting expensive sets of decorated plate armor. No longer will the defenders of frozen regions such as the Pale or Winterhold be caught wearing sleeveless chest pieces, and are now better equipped to handle their weather. Each of the new sets have their own stories behind them, look great, and manage to fit in nicely with the game's lore. Additionally, the cities of Whiterun and Solitude will even reward the Dragonborn with customized variants of their armor sets as a reward for completing local city quests and helping out their citizens. Overall, the Guard's Armor Replacer is an immersive and aesthetically pleasing project that addresses a problem I never really knew I had, and for that reason, I think it's found a permanent home in my load order. Next on our list, we have a mod that's not quite as immersive or lore-friendly as the last one, but that doesn't necessarily mean any less fun. This is Dwarven Motorcycle and Other Items by GG77. The title is rather self-explanatory. DMOT adds in 4 new wheeled vehicles, and accompanying custom sound effects to the otherwise car engine-free world of Skyrim. After installation, the mod will lead you to the Whiterun stables, where purring outside of them will be a motorcycle, as well as a new character named Dwemer Mistress, who can be recruited as a follower. But more importantly, has a number of spell tomes in her inventory that'll allow you to summon 3 other rides, which are a tractor, a car, and another car. The new methods of transportation vary in speeds, with the bike being the fastest and the tractor being the slowest, but they're all considerably quicker than a normal horse. And other than speed and their appearance, there's really no difference between the options offered. The new models look great, and the audio effects are also quite excellent. Additionally, there's mini versions of each card that you can summon after you found their respective spell tomes scattered across the world. But their size is really the only unique thing about these variants. Nonetheless, the mod is hilarious fun, at least for a little while. Dashing around Skyrim at hyperspeeds has its appeals, and I won't be told otherwise. The way this mod works is quite simple. Each of these new sets of wheels is essentially just a retextured, remodeled horse with replaced audio. Now, since all these additions are technically horses, at least as far as the game is concerned, they also technically have their own AI packages, and can very much take damage. This isn't too much of an issue, as they're all also set as essential, but if your car takes too much damage at once, you will find yourself falling off, so do be careful. But on the bright side, since this mod isn't depending on any major scripts or anything like that, it's also available on the Xbox One. As a whole, GG77's project is really just a silly way to mess around for a little while. It's not going to radically improve your immersion, but it's creative and very entertaining. Coming in at number 3 is Redshift Juz's Timelost Dwemmer. This is a new project, released at the beginning of 2019, but actually received a pretty major update just a couple days ago. First and foremost, Timelost Dwemmer is a new race mod, adding in the Deep Elves as a playable race for the player to select upon character creation. Now, if that doesn't sound very lore-friendly to you, you're probably onto something, considering the dwarves went extinct thousands of years ago. However, the mod author justifies this new possibility by explaining that the elf you can play as is the victim of a ripple in the space-time continuum, hence the mod's name, Timelost Dwemmer. Regardless, its quality easily excuses any technical inconsistencies with the Elder Scrolls' lore, because the mod doesn't just add in some new player textures, a couple stat changes, and call it a day, but it also goes above and beyond by creating several new weapons, armor pieces, spells, and even an entire new system of followers, all tailored to a Deep Elven playthrough. Though many of these new additions can be accessed by players of other races as well. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's start with the basics. Deep Elves will automatically begin the game with 4 new spells learned, each centered around the manipulation of time and space. You'll also be given the ability to learn an additional 4 supplementary spells through a skill tree, but we'll get into that later. The point is, there's a total of 8 new spells. We don't have the time to get into each, but my personal favorite is Time Warp, which slows down time to a near standstill and increases the player's melee attack speed by 550%. At the cost of both magicka and health. There's also Warp Jump, which allows the Dragonborn to effectively teleport short distances while still maintaining their stealth. Everything feels creative, but not necessarily over the top, which is just the way I like it. On top of the new spells, Dwemer characters are also automatically given the ability to craft Dwarven armor and weapons, which will offer 20% more armor protection and 30% more damage when you use them as a Deep Elf. What's more, when installed, Timelost adds a new branch to the player's smithing skill tree. The new perks will enable you to craft the half-dozen or so new weapons, which are largely motor-powered and more powerful versions of existing Dwarven weapons, with some neat new models and textures. Through this new perk tree, you can also learn how to craft Dwarven power armor, which looks absolutely incredible, and as you might imagine, keeps you nice and safe. But perhaps the coolest new feature offered by these perks is the ability to construct your own personal Dwarven automatons, which range from everything from simple vanilla spiders to full-on custom-modeled robotic dragons and horses, which will act as your followers. Together, there's about 26 total automations that can be crafted, some entirely new, others are simple variants of ones we can already meet in dungeons. Now, when you do craft one of these beasts, they don't just pop up next to your forge, that would be a bit impractical. Instead, what actually happens is you craft a Pokeball-like object that contains the respective automation inside, which will be added to your inventory. When you're ready to activate your new follower, simply drop the Pokeball from your inventory, and they'll spawn in. And assuming your friend doesn't get killed, whenever you're bored of them, you can simply store the creatures back into their spheres. It's a fairly innovative system, and one I was very much fond of. Overall, Timelost Dwemmer is an excellent race mod, and by going out of its way to complement our experience with new items, perks, and spells to work towards and have fun with, it easily distinguishes itself from so many of the other projects in its genre, even if it isn't the most realistic experience. For 4th spot, we have a nifty little addition to your HUD, the Skyrim Radar Mod by Sweet Little Lies. A fully configurable minimap that, well, does what you would expect a minimap to do. It displays the location of enemies, merchants, followers, and even corpses. Depending on your preferences, in the MCN, one can also adjust the mod to choose exactly what icons you want it to display. You can go beyond its initial settings and expand it to show quite literally every single NPC and map marker, or limit it to only highlight specific ones. Furthermore, the radar itself may be adjusted in size and opacity to make it more or less transparent, as well as bigger or smaller, ensuring that your minimap suits whatever your desires are to a T. Personally, I think the mod's implementation of this concept is really great, and found it incredibly helpful whenever I was looking for bodies to loot in the grass or had trouble determining where that bandit firing arrows at me was hiding. There's not much more that needs said about this radar. It's impressive to view and offers a much appreciated service, so I'd recommend you at least give it a try. And finally, last on our list, the Archery gameplay overhaul by D-Servant is something I don't think I'm ever going to disable after installing it earlier this week. First and foremost, the mod replaces the unrealistic and weird animations related to how characters hold bows with something far more sensible, and frankly more aesthetically pleasing. These new animations cover pretty much everything bow related, from idle stances to sprinting to sneaking. They even extend into the first person as well. No longer will you or NPCs awkwardly hold bows in one hand and not know what to do with the other. Now you'll immediately draw arrows as soon as you pull out your bow. And when arrows are knocked, you'll now carry the bow itself closer to your head. The changes are easily noticeable, and a very welcome appearance. But this mod isn't just about looks. It is the Archery gameplay overhaul, after all. It also creates 4 new types of arrow enchantments: fire, frost, shock, and magic, that can be applied to whatever missiles you're using, either via spells which have tomes that can radiantly be found throughout the world, or through the new rings the mod adds in, found radiantly throughout the world as well. Wearing these rings will automatically bestow the respective enchantment towards your arrow. Furthermore, arm fatigue is now a thing. You can't just aim a bow in a certain direction indefinitely. Eventually your arms will get tired, you'll run out of breath, and the camera will start to shake, disrupting your accuracy. Though to compensate, the accuracy of AI has been greatly reduced as well. You may have noticed in vanilla Skyrim, the NPCs shoot like Doc Holliday on steroids. No more! There's a whole plethora of additional, more minor changes too. Arrows now do bleeding damage. The minimum power and speed of arrows have been reduced. Poison on bows now scales with your archery levels. The maximum number of arrows that can be stuck in someone has been increased from 3 to 99. The list goes on. There's quite a few little things the overhaul touches on that add up, and I encourage you to check out the mod page to read through all of them. But as a package, D-Servant's creation makes archery a more realistic and deadly practice. And to be honest, the new animations alone were more than enough to sell me on this one. And with that, we are going to wrap up. 5 amazing mods you may have missed for the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Which of these mods have you already tried? What are your thoughts, and what mod should I cover in my next video? Leave a comment down below. As always, like ratings are very much appreciated. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everybody.